Okay, I think I'm live. That's a great place to break off on that mix. All right, hello. Thank you everyone for being here. I'm Verdi Arbusto. This is the Schumann Resonance Harmonics channel on YouTube and Facebook and points beyond. Thank you for coming here. As I'm watching the signal, kind of the strength of the signal, a couple points that kind of bottomed out. So I don't know how long I'm going to be able to kind of stream. The internet here is kind of wacky. So when it buffers, it's not a problem on your end. It's a problem on my end. It's the Wi-Fi of the people. We're using another person's Wi-Fi. I'll just put it that way. So. Oh yeah, Jackie, I'm reading the comment here. That's a great way to spend time when you're all snowed in with Terence McKenna. Wait, I didn't want you to do that. Don't do that. Right there. So Terence McKenna. Yeah, so we're having a great conversation in the chats about the antenna and about all kinds of other wonderful stuff. We have, in general, great discussions here. This is me moving my chair here. All right. So I have spent a lot of time with Terence McKenna. He's my mentor in a lot of this stuff. Onward and upward. He's definitely a fan of onward and upward. He knows. Terence McKenna knows his shit. He's a I've used him when, in fact, he was my main influence of what to expect when I went into the church of the UDV, right? That's my model for ayahuasca is Terence McKenna, what he did, so I was, I was expecting us to actually go out in the yard and pick stuff from the jungle, I don't know, I just was expecting, it was a church, it literally was an old church, and it was just like communion on a Sunday. It really was. It was kind of weird, but great and groovy, but definitely weird. So Terence McKenna, I'm well familiar with a lot of what he has to say, and he's considered himself a psychonaut, and I myself would like to consider myself a psychonaut as well. All right, so we are. All right. So the lesson today, some of you were here for the premiere I did on this, and some of you may have been new for this, not have seen it, but you certainly can go back and watch the premiere at your own, discretion. I'm not going to play it again, obviously. So we're talking about what it takes to put together the Schumann Resonance antennas. And part of the reason for doing this is to have a discussion of how difficult it really more or less is to get a good signal from the antenna. And it's part of, I understand my goal here, my mission here. Part of it is not just to explain how to read the chart here, not just how to read the spectrogram and how to tell you how to read it, just break it down for you to be able to read it yourself. Not just that, which a lot of people in this community, or that in itself would be enough where they could actually tell you how that works, right? If they could do that, that would be a freaking miracle and a half, right? 2.5 miracles. Just in being able to tell you what that accurately means. Okay, we'll just say that. However, that's the first part. That's the easy part. Well, okay, all right. The more complicated part is, how do you get the signal? How does the antenna actually literally work? How am I able to tell you, for example, that the Schumann resonances are not picking up, the data voids are not picking up timeline shifts? Well, because it's not H.G. Wells's time machine. I know that. And how do I know that? Because I can see this very well here. I recognize the circuitry. That's not H.G. Wells's time machine in there. oh, that's a real-time clock. And if that was showing timeline shifts, then all the computers that have these real-time clocks, which is all of them, would experience timeline shifts as well. Oh, okay. So perhaps it's not H.G. Wells's time machine that these things are. Perhaps these are very predictable. Perhaps they have limitations, and perhaps the same limitations that these things have are what you're the board of the board motherboard of your computer. That's very similar to what this is a little mini computer that's dedicated to just doing the Schumann resonances and picking up these signals here. And so it's really important to understand that when you're looking at the signal, the Schumann resonance signals, to know what you're looking at. Okay, and so that's one of the things that we're discussing here. One of the things that we're looking at is to be able to understand how to get the Schumann resonance signal, in addition to what its limitations are. That's part of what this thing, your imagination may not be limited, but oh, good golly, there is a limit to what the technology itself can detect. And again, once again, this is part of determining the lie, the illusion, from what's actually happening. This is, if it has any meaning, if it has any significance, if any of this stuff is important, if you're here, I'm trying to figure out why the Schumann resonance is what they are in all of this. If being able to figure this out accurately has any meaning, then this is what we're talking about, of being able to understand how they get the signal and how it's filtered out, and why it's filtered out, and what and wherefore. The data chain. What is the data acquisition chain? How are you extracting a signal from the environment and figuring it, and then putting it in a way, these invisible radio waves, going through that process, how are you able to plot that, print it, and create a graph, something I can hold in my hand that is a representation of the invisible? Right? How does it work? How does that work? Right? This is radio. These are radio waves. First and foremost, the Schumann resonances are not the heartbeat of the planet. First and foremost, that's the DC, the lower DC circuit. That's entirely different. And you got to remember, the resonances are a series of resonances. Everyone loves to talk about the 7.8 frequency because that's the Earth's heartbeat and blah, 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 the end of the story. Just kill me now. Please slice my throat, put a hot poker in my eye. I'm tired of having to explain this to people. Like, it really is not the Earth's heartbeat, because that is a completely different circuit. The lower DC ground circuit is not what happens in the ionosphere to Earth surface chamber. Where am I? Chamber. Okay, there is a chamber between the ionosphere and the Earth ground, that is which the Schumann resonance operates on, and that's based primarily on lightning. And those are the resonances, those are the waves that are sent out through the atmosphere, and that's not the vibrating of the Earth. There is an insulatory, there is a isolating effect of the atmosphere on, or against, operating against the impedance of the atmosphere of its wanting to go back to zero, its at rest state, its elasticity, the impedance of the elasticity of the atmosphere that provides the isolating cavity that the Schumann resonances operate in, that spring is like a tensor that acts against the Earth's vibrations. So if, for the sake of this discussion, the Earth is vibrating, it's operating at 10 to 11 hertz, that is the Earth's heartbeat. There's 10 to 11 hertz, if you will. That in itself, the shaking and the moving of the planet is itself part of the lower DC circuit of the Earth ground itself. And it all adjusts accordingly, and it is held insulated in that isolating cavity from the upper DC cavity, the upper DC circuit of the cavity, the ionosphere. So there's two separate circuits at work. So there's the upper one that catches, the capacitor that catches the sun's rays, and that is the magnetosphere, magnetopause, ionosphere combination, right? That all acts as a one united group, okay? Takes a lot of stuff in it. Boom, boom. Much of what comes to us from the sun is caught up in that, okay? Normal conditions, when the magnetic poles are working properly and all the magnetic dynamo of the lower DC circuit is operating properly. That's what keeps the balance between those two. Okay? And the balance in between those two is a DMZ of the air we breathe. Okay? The sky, the air, the oxygen, the atmosphere, all the way up to the clouds, out into the darkest of space. So you'd see that's the ionosphere. So what captures light what captures light down to the Earth ground, that's essentially the ionosphere atmosphere of the planet. So the Schumann resonances operate as the AC circuit, which is alternating current. It's a wave. It vibrates, it resonates, it radiates out into the atmosphere, moving from the electric side into the magnetic side. Okay, so as there's that initial flash of amplitude of electrics that comes out into the atmosphere, radiates out, and so it's as it moves out in space, as it moves out through the atmosphere, it's always continually electrically mingling with the electrons that are there, and it's always grounding. It's ever seeking to ground out itself into the planet. So that's why it doesn't stay electric and amplitude long. You have spikes that burst and then drop. That's pretty much what amplitude is. It spikes and then it drops. Spikes, drop, spikes, drop. That is the mirroring or the echoing of the amplitude spike that goes through the atmosphere. Basically that. It's a flash. It's really quick. And you might get a series of lightning flashes, but this is the resource that powers the Schumann resonances is the lightning in the air, the lightning in the atmosphere. It's not umbilically connected to the heartbeat of the planet. That's not what's shaking the Earth. There's an insulating cavity. There's a fucking isolating cavity, like shock absorbers. The actual waveguide that the Schumann resonances works in is a shock absorber, a like an elastic that prevents the vibrations of the Earth from doing what people believe it does. Hopefully that makes sense to at least one of you. If that made sense to at least one of you, specifically you, Jackie. Please don't tell me you didn't get it. So yeah, yes, yeah. So that's what we're talking about. So it is within the resonating chamber of the planet, right? The resonating chamber of the the cavity that the Schumann resonances operate in. So that is why if you were to bury the Schumann resonance magnetic antenna, it would be, it's actually technically, it would be overpowered by the Earth's magnetic field. Okay? There have been studies where they have shown that people who have been removed underground, they've been taken from above ground to down into the ground, and also astronauts as well, okay, that they've taken them out of the environment of Schumann resonances, which is basically in the air you breathe, okay, put them in the ground, and then they tested them, and they were not well. They were not balanced. Humans have a integral link to the Schumann resonances. Okay? It's important, right? You can be shielded from them in your house. It's important to remember that, you know. The thing that people talk about with, you know, the Schumann resonances bringing the ascension symptoms or whatever. People have all kinds of ideas on this, and I'm generalizing. But the idea of the ascension symptoms is basically you not grounding out that energy, the electrics and the magnetics of the environment. You are not, you know, doing your part to ground these out. Oh, I don't like that at all. So it's part of what the big deal. I say this all over Facebook. I say this on YouTube when given a chance. You know, let me on my moral high horse, and I will extol the virtues of grounding. Right, number one, grounding, clearing, and centering. Okay, because the Schumann resonances are energies. They are the lowest radiating energies. They're not radiating at the high energy of, they're not going up. They're not moving up first and foremost. Okay, they're stable. Anyone who's been around for a while, you know why the Schumann resonances are not going up. First off, it's not the heartbeat of the planet. Second off, they're not going up because of the constraints that are on the system. The entire system, from the ionosphere to the earth ground and all of that, the AC, DC channel, they are held intact at those resonances, and rightly so. Rightly so. Rightly so, the Schumann resonances on the current state of how it's been should be vibrating at the resonant frequencies of fear, guilt, shame, and lies. I think that's, and the lies maybe grief, lies. I think that's the last. 4, fear, guilt, shame, grief, then lies. So that's the 5. Okay. So the 5th one operates at around the 46 hertz mark. Okay. So these are all frequencies of emotional states, of densities that need to get cleared out. Okay. Now, we can look at this from the scientific standpoint, which I do, the technical standpoint, which I do. You need to know how the radio frequencies are measured. There is the technical aspect of this, of the mechanics of this, of getting this all to work, and what the radio frequencies of the Schumann resonances are, and all of that. Okay. That's one part of the equation here. The other part of the equation is, why are you here? Why are we learning this? What does it matter? Right? Why are you here? I know why I'm here. I'm fascinated by this. There's some people that are fascinated by this because they're radio geeks. Okay, you're in the right place. I'm the radio geek telling about, you know, the Schumann resonances. You know, I don't look at this as a religion. I don't look at this as it's a cult of spirituality. I don't look at this from that belief perspective. I look at this as, what are the radio frequencies? How do you pick them up? What are these technical? How do they build the antenna? right? This is the perspective I'm coming from, is I want to know technically what these are and technically how the antennas are built. And so this has been, from the beginning, it's been a large part of what I've done here is taken the very technical look at what the Schumann resonances are, and when you see technically how they're measured, you see in many cases how it cuts through the belief portion of what people are bringing into this. The religion of Schumannism, I've been calling it, of the, again, one of the tech, I use the term technical scrying, which is, scrying would be what you would do if you're looking into a fire and trying to get an image from the fire. The fire's telling you something. Okay, it's a thing. I can talk with fire. I got that. That happens. It's a thing. Okay, that's not this. Looking into a crystal ball, tea leaves, folk beliefs. Okay, you can tell certain things, right? From looking at, okay, is that one of those things who you're eventually going to fall in love with and build a family with? Maybe the tea leaves aren't the place to be looking for that, And so the same thing with, what are you looking for in the readings of the Schumann resonances? You keep looking for the Schumann resonance frequency to rise, which it's not going to. So you look at the earthquake data, and then you see a reading of 3,000 kilohertz on the VLF meter, and you use that as the rising. Oh, buddy, they're jumping all over the place. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. How do I say this? Even with all of the information, some people will still stay dumb. You bring them all the information. You want to know. You got all the information. Now you got it. Now what? Now what? You're just as stupid as you were the day before. You don't know how to read it any better. And you getting more information now. Now what's happened is you're assuming the first guys are in a conspiracy to lie to the world. Wow. So, I take a dim view of that on the Facebook group that, no, this is your superstitious belief. A lot of what people are bringing to this is just a superstitious belief based on, I don't tea leaf reading or something, so I'm not we don't do belief here. I don't do belief. I have a belief, and I keep my belief out of it. Otherwise, there'd be no reason for me to do this, because much of what people have invested in this is bullshit, right? That's kind of how I look at this. As much of what people think of this, it's not, and it's complete and total horse hockey. So, I try not to let my personal belief get in the way of giving you technically how this works. Because it's me doing a better service for you to tell you technically how this works, rather than to tell you what the stupid beliefs are, and that way you can tell for yourself. Nanoseconds. No, they're not moving in nanoseconds. It's just seconds. It's on the atomic clock. Everything is nanoseconds. It's like there isn't seconds, or it's the atomic clock. They move on whatever. The decay of the cesium atom is a second. Whatever it takes for it to decay a certain amount, some screwy shit. That's time. Time is no longer the measurement of it going around. The what do you call it? The rotation of the sun, the Earth around the sun. Right. That's no longer the measure. A lot of people don't understand this. That a second is no longer the time that it. The time of the sun transit in a day, that's what it used to be. Now it's the decay of a cesium atom. I'm pretty sure it's cesium, or 123, something like that. I forget, whatever. But they measure now a second based on the decay of the atom. Like I said, okay. All right. So, all right. I'm watching this stream live and it keeps buffering. And all right, so I'm watching this. I'm watching the stream buffer, and it keeps cutting in and cutting out. All right. So I had just wanted to have a discussion with people, if I could. This is probably I'm not doing many live streams because of the buffering problem, and the internet really here is very poor. And oh, thank you. I'm glad to hear that, Jackie. I'm getting a message on my the studio. When I do this, I think other people have shown this before. When I do this, I have on the second screen, I have this. So that's what's telling me. Now it's showing that there's an excellent connection. Okay. But it's been kind of going in and out. And as I'm watching on my end, the, the little picture with me, it shows me buffering and it's kind of halting. Now it seems to be in good condition. But what happens is it tells me that I get a message from YouTube that comes up that says because it's not getting enough bit stream, it's not getting enough data, that it's going to shut down. And that has happened in a few of the live streams where it's just shut down. It hasn't received enough data. It's just shut down. And then I'm still talking and talking and talking, and then I go and I look again, and it's just there's nothing there. It shows that it ended, and I'm like, I don't know how long I've been talking with nothing going out. So I monitor it because that's important. Because I don't want to keep talking when the thing is being shut it off. First off, I feel like an idiot there. All right, it's a thing. I mean, it just is a thing. Um, but I also want to make sure, because it's if you know, if it stops, I'm just gonna stop. Um, but like I said, it's part of the reason I'm doing this is because I don't know how much longer I'm gonna have the internet. The people upstairs that we were getting the internet from, they have left, and they're technically on the first, their lease was up. So we're now into the second. I don't know how much more time I have on their internet, um, and you know, I don't know if the people that are going to be coming in will let me use it. They may, like all right, it's nice enough, kind enough, but there's no guarantee that. Um, I need to essentially get to a place where I can put the internet in my own name or maybe Alex's name or something, so that we have a dedicated line. But at this moment, I can't do that because of the living arrangements of where I'm at, and there's a trade off in everything. So um, while I have the opportunity and the means, I've done some videos, I have some material ready. I just wanted to kind of, see who was around and take some time with everyone because I get a certain something out of doing this. And I know that even though the information is over people's heads a lot of time, like eventually you can go over it and, I've given a lot of different information on a lot of different things. But what I really get out of this is not like I don't have any fame here. I mean, I got 2,000 people, and that's like that was more than I ever expected. You know, and I get a live stream. I get 7, 8 people. Like this is enough. That's enough to get the 10 people that I do in a live stream, where I can talk and some of the late night live streams I've done and the subjects we've talked about and the areas that I've gone into where like no one will No one's willing to. I mean, not like this, not publicly. Uh, that's what makes it worthwhile. You know, not not even to tell you how the Schumann resonances even really work technically. That's important. That's a really the meat and potatoes of this. But to have the conversations that I've had, some of the late night conversations we've had with people that have been truly life changing in a substantial way. I'll just say that. Uh, the meditation. I want to do more of that. That's why it's worth coming here. Like I ask my guides for all of everything I need to know. I mean, honest to God, I ask my my guides to show me everything I need to know because, for the most part, humans don't know much of anything. They mean well, they like to, they try to, it's important to know. It's very disappointing to go to humans for good, solid information because everyone's got an angle, everyone's got an agenda, and even if they don't, they may just not know that much, and but they're good people anyway, and not everyone has the ability to cull through the information and give it a relative, you know, evaluation of the relative worth of it. Uh, a lot of this is it's to me. I've shared this. It's like dealing with kindergartners. You know, uh, I go to my guides to get the information I need, right? But it's not. I'm not allowed to keep that information, right? That's the trade-off to it. That I'm happy because I don't have to go to humans. All right, I think I get the answer to my. I get the answer to what I'm looking for. I don't have to go to humans. Yay! No, 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 it's not a yay because now you have to go find the people who are also curious about this thing you've asked. You have a connection to the source. You can ask. You're great. Fine. Now you have to go and find the people who are curious about the same gosh darn thing you were, who are struggling for information, who don't know how to ask source, who can't picture being at the campfire of the Almighty. And getting the answer may not be the most difficult part, but what do you do when you get that information? That's another big part of what this is. And the trick to the information, and the trick to the knowledge, and the trick to the wisdom, you know, knowledge is not power unless you know how to apply it. That's thoroughly from a technician's standpoint. You can have all the knowledge in your head. Your head is capable of reaching infinity. Sure, that's great. Big deal. So what? And how is that useful to me? Give me something I can work with. How does this apply to my life, right? So that's what the big part of this is how does this apply to our lives? How does this apply to my life? I'm not just given this information because I just simply because I asked, right? I mean, it's not just for me. It's given to me in such a way that makes it easy for me to explain, or relatively easy to explain to people, relative to how complicated some of this stuff is. Diagrams, visual aids, wherever, sometime, the Rubens tube, I don't know, something, just some visual aid here. That's part of what they're giving me on this is the practical, the visual aids on how this stuff works as well. And sometimes the only visual aid is written text with a bunch of words, and like, all right, so maybe I can extract some meaning from it, and from that bring some type of clarity to you. So it's not just, essentially what I was saying is it's not just that just because I have it that I'm all set, right? Just because I've been through this, I'm all set. I'm really all set. So, you living in a monastery, right? Are you in a tent in the woods? Are you no, no? And even if you were in the monastery, I have this discussion with Alex, where he talks about going to the monastery and living, living up there in a monastery and dedicating his life to service and as a monk or monastery. All right, whatever, fine. I said, you can't run. You can't go there and leave expecting you can just go there and leave your problems. That's not how that works. Because where you're going because you're running away because people are just not nice sometimes and they can be difficult. Is that it? Because I can say that was half of the reason I went out in the tent in the woods. Maybe not the biggest half, but there was in there. I need to heal. I said the tent in the woods is no different from the monastery because you are still told that you need to serve. And if you are dedicating your life to service of others and service to God, then you will be forced to go into the valley, down the stairs, to get water from the villagers, or to sell the rice, or to pick up rice, or the whatever, because you can't grow rice in the top of a mountain, or whatever. You are not ever, ever excused from service to others. Sometimes the service to others is being a student and learning and presenting yourself with an open mind, an open notebook, an open mind, a willing pencil to learn, right? Sometimes that is what the agreement is. That is, sometimes I'm on that side of the tent and I have to humble myself and realize that I'm there as a student. Okay, I get to learn. It's time to learn. Shut your mouth, open your ears, open your notebook, start writing. Stop talking, start writing. How about that? Okay, good place to learn. Wonderful. First principle of learning the Schumann resonances. Shut your mouth, open your ears, open your notebook, and start writing. Good place to learn. Sometimes I'm the instructor, I'm the teacher. And my part in the agreement is I have to be patient. I have to bring what I know in such a way as it's very digestible to someone who it's their first time here ever. That's difficult. It's easier to be the person who's the first time, or is it? Is it easier for me to be the first, to be that person who it's my first time? I know a lot, but I don't know everything, and I think I know more than I actually do in some cases. And even if I do know it, it would stand for me to reason to sit down, take the cotton out of your ears, put it in your mouth, open your notebook, and start writing and stop talking. Right? Are you the student or are you the teacher? Right? That's the question that's asked, the question that becomes relative to me here. Right? So with each of these roles, there come certain responsibilities, certain actions. And again, going back to the beginning, part of the action is to be, part of the behavior is to be present at the beginning for questions, for basic questions. Okay. And so that's part of what my role in this is not just to provide answers, right? But to help you to look for your own answers, to help you to read the technology so you yourself can know, to see what makes up the technology, and a lot of things I've already talked about. Right? So, just because I know, I'm not immune from having to share with other people, and so that's one of the things why this here, my studio is like a monastery, where I am given of single-mindedness to the task of presenting the Schumann resonances, presenting related phenomena, related information, and if it means anything, of how and why this can change your life or mine from the connection that we have and we get when we do these, right? I mean, if the Schumann resonances mean anything, the biggest part of it is us talking about and discussing what it means, right? And a lot of this, and in how do I say this? In the case of a lot of what I hear about, there's a part of this that is a myth. I call it. All right. It's not. There's a part of this that's put into it, that's added into it, is additive, it's filler, that's not really part of it, but it needs to be dealt with, needs to be gotten out, extracted out of there, like hair in a cake mix. Like a lot of what this crap is. It's not nutritional for you, as bad as cake may be. It's like, well, get the hair out, whatever. It's just crud that's put in there. So part of how this understanding of the Schumann resonances works is important, is to know the proper way of how they work and what they are and what they do and how that affects your life, and in addition to getting rid of the ballast and the crap and the crud of a lot of what is, again, I call it the religion of Schumannism, but there's a belief system that is like there's part of the belief system of Christianity gets in its way. Part of the belief system of Catholicism gets in its own way. Same thing. The inherent contradiction of humanity is in its own way when you don't address it. The fuckery of the two brains of the human, right? If that does not get addressed, it just fetates. It becomes fetid. The funniness of tripping a complete stranger as he's walking home with groceries, watching the groceries fall everywhere, and then laughing at him because of his poor balance or whatever. The fuckery, there is no other way to put it, of humanity against itself. So until a lot of the conditions of humanity, inherent in humanity, of the dual brain system, let's just put it that way, of all the psychosis, all the lack of ability of having sympathy for the other half, one half not having sympathy for the other half, the ununited, dual hemisphere brain being at war with itself, just these kind of things. In order to move forward in things, people need to come to terms with the lowest of the low. And that is what the Schumann resonances really truly are, is the lowest of the low. And these are electromagnetics that are also stabilized into a form of density, and they have moved into a type of gravity. Okay? Now, what these guys here are talking about, actually not this one here, but the next one, I don't want to go into the next lesson that I have, but one of the next one that is up is talking about the diurnal variations that happen over a 20-year cycle. And this is data that's from Rhode Island. Based on Rhode Island. All right, hold on. All right, so the next one I'll show you really quick. All right. The next one up is analysis of the Rhode Island Schumann resonances daily average data. All right, so this one here, it's talking about the diurnal variation based on the sunspot activity. All right? The, okay. It's giving me a warning that on my low bit rate there. Um, so this is one of the things that we're talking about. This is why I can't just let, uh, I can't just um, be a passive observer, even though I know how the Schumann resonances work, and a lot of what people talk about it is just it's not what it is, and it's a religion. I can't just stay there, uh, and I can't hide in the fact that it is technical, and it's beyond the range of technical understanding of a lot of people. These are scientists and technical people. They're engineers that put this together, and so when we're looking at a lot of this stuff, it's not intended for the average person who has no technical background, uh, and they don't, they're not. No one's trying to hide the information. It's just that it's technical information. You really need to know what it is you're looking at in order to really get a sense of well, first you need to know the equipment there to get a sense of what you're looking at, and then to get a sense of it being radio waves and all of this. So I don't know. So I've said a lot of stuff that's sort of remotely related to the Schumann resonances. Um, I had wanted to talk more about the antennas. I had wanted to have more of a discussion and a dialogue on the antennas, but the this keeps telling me it's going to shut down. It goes from it saying that we're not getting enough data, we're going to shut down, to excellent condition. Okay, all right, all right. So, I'm reading the what it says here. Introduction. All right, so maybe I'll start reading some of the introduction here. Why not? What else am I doing? All right. So let me get myself out of here. Boop. All right. So it says the space between the Earth and the terrestrial ionosphere forms a large electromagnetic waveguide. Considering that the Earth's surface is a conducting sphere as the ionosphere boundary, it is experimentally proven that the Earth ionosphere waveguide permits the generation of electromagnetic standing waves in the range of extremely low frequencies, and that's ELF, where the wavelength is related to the dimensions of the Earth ionosphere cavity, and that the references are Balser and Wagner in 1960 and 62. Balser and Wagner were very well known early on in the Schumann resonance circle. They were one of the first kind of pioneers that were out there. And Wagner was actually in this field before Schumann, just as a FYI. And I'm going to have to remember to put this guy's name in the description. Vasilis Christophilakis. Okay, therefore, specific spectral resonant frequencies are observed. The existence of these resonances was first predicted by Schumann in 1952 on a theoretical basis, and since then we refer to this phenomena by the term Schumann resonances. Schumann resonance, SR. Schumann, 1952. The frequencies of the lower eigenmode are approximately 7.8, 14, 21, 27, 33 hertz. It is found that the main source of these electromagnetic waves is the lightning effect occurring on the Earth. Consequently, Schumann resonance measurements could be used to monitor the global lightning activity during day and seasons. That's Heckman, Williams, and Boldy in 1998. And actually, I have that paper on tap, I think. Or I have paper from Williams and Boldy from a different tape. Okay, it reference 95 and then 97. All right. Several natural phenomena, such as the climate variations, ionosphere disturbances, solar radiation, have an impact in the spectrum of Schumann resonances. Schumann resonance signals could be the global environmental signal absorbed by the human body. Well, that's interesting. That's Palmer Rycroft, Cermak in 2006. Furthermore, the characteristics of the Schumann resonances may be important in aerospace, marine applications. Toulonnais, reference 2008. A number of corresponding researches have been conducted in order to investigate several types of natural events throughout spectral traces. To report some of them, global temperature variations, water vaporization, space weather, and earthquake precursors could be monitored by Schumann resonance spectrum measurements. And they give a bunch of references here: Ando, Hayakawa, 2005, 2010. The significance of Schumann, and I'm going to say that is that's theoretical. You know, you guys are putting a lot on the Schumann resonance bands there. The significance of Schumann resonance spectrum has attracted the scientific interest of researchers around the world. Until today, several scientific groups have taken measurements. Until today, it says, of the Schumann resonance spectrum, and stations have been installed in order to record the spectral variations on daily basis. And you have Sierra, these references to the 2014 and 2010. Besides the important role of the Schumann resonance spectrum measurements for the scientific community, there are additional motivations for this research. Okay, firstly, was the comparison of simulation results with preliminary measurements taken occasionally from August 2013 to December 2014 on the field, comparing in this way the functionality of the Schumann resonance measuring equipment. Secondly, was the implementation of a prototype portable, low-cost, scalable, and effective data acquisition system, DAS, capable to capture signals in the extremely low frequency, ELF, and the lowest portion of the very low frequency, VLF, band, exploiting the benefits of adjustable sampling rates. It is feasible to oversample the lowest part of ELF between 1 to 30 Hz, where Schumann resonance frequencies lie around. Last but not least was to carry out measurements in a location that was never measured, like Greece. Okay, so they want to measure it where it's never been measured, and such a place would be Greece. The final objective of current research in the implementation of a fully autonomous Schumann resonance recording station as a part of Schumann resonance network able to capture continuously and monitor special characteristics of the spectrum along with its variations over time. The Schumann resonance detection system consists of three main parts that are the antenna, the amplification, and filtering, and the DAS. The latter includes a prototype data logging device, that's this right here, and a personal computer. The rest of this paper is organized into the following sections. Figure 2 presents related works. Figure 3 gives a brief description of the analog part of our system, including the antenna used and the amplifier filters chain. In Section 4, the DAS is described analytically. Section 5 is dedicated to the results and the signal processing carried out by the software. Conclusions and future work are drawn in Section 6. Holy crap! Yeah. Bam! Up in this piece. Okay. All right. Is anyone still here? I'm going to check. All right. Oh, apparently there's 6 people who are watching right now. All right. I know Jackie's still here. Strom is here. All right. JVF. Soon Bradley will be by, I think. Unless it's too early for him. He's 12 hours. If I'm not mistaken, he's 12 hours away. So I'm doing most of this for Bradley, by the way. For the rest of you as well. But for pretty much Bradley, and then there's the rest of you. Well, there's myself, all right? So there's myself, then Bradley, and then whoever else is around. He's the number one person who's making a Schumann Resonance antenna. I just want to say that. Why would he get special treatment and the star? Because he wants to make one of these. All right? If you, write me in the comments or here. Say, oh, I want to make a Schumann Resonance antenna too. Oh, yeah, I want to go through all of the pain, It's not bad enough me punching myself in the face 20 times a day. No, that's not painful enough. No, I would rather make a Schumann Resonance antenna. I don't have enough pain and difficulty and horror. I'm only saying this because he's not here to hear this, but that's kind of it, So if you took on the task of, wanting to build a Schumann resonance, I would put you on the equal pedestal and say you, and then the rest of everyone else. But no, it's not you. You're not making one. No, Bradley is making one. And so he needs, believe me, all of the encouragement he can get. Trust me on this when I tell you. Just having read enough about these. Oh, it was bad enough putting up a CB antenna on the house, when I had to do that. A whip. Like that was, and then grounded. You got to make sure it gets grounded. You don't want the house to catch on fire. That's a big thing, Like it's a thing. It's a thing. You have an antenna up. You can also attract lightning. It's, I mean, it's essentially what you're looking for. A Schumann resonances are the echoes of lightning. So you're not trying to get a direct strike. You're trying to get right next door to, or maybe not right next door, but you're trying to get, some kilometers away from a direct lightning strike. You don't want it to have, and by that I mean I don't necessarily mean right at your antenna. I could mean just within a kilometer away would be a direct enough strike of lightning. All right, just relative to what we're talking about here. So because of the range of the very lightweight nature of the range of the signal in the pico range, it's negative. It's a very sensitive system that you have. Yeah, exactly. So Jackie is high in the list as well. So it's Bradley, Jackie, and then all the rest of you. Hopefully that doesn't sound dismissive and derisive, but it's that's what this is. This is a hardcore. This is the advanced class. I'm not joking, right? This one, and then the one that's after it, that is even the more advanced class that just has me like oh okay uncle, all right, yeah I submit, all right. Yeah, I should have opened up the door and come in here while you were in the middle of doing all of that. Oh, crap, now I saw too much. Like, oh, I submit, I'm sorry. It kind of felt like that. Some papers are like that, So anyway, so yeah. So it takes some effort. It takes some effort to make a Schumann resonance machine, because there is a lot of moving parts to it, even though, like, all right, this here is soldered down. These are all soldered down. If you went to, I'm willing to believe, if you went to these guys, you could probably purchase some of these, knowing that you are in the community, you wanted to make one of these, you give this video as a reference, and you like, this is one of the reasons why I like taking you through this literature, because even if, let's say that it's not just the two of you, but let's just assume for the sake of this that there are other people that are interested in doing this, and let's just to sake for this, let's assume for the sake of discussion on this that there is a small group of people of like 3 or 4 people or 5, whatever, but a relatively small group of people also that are interested in this. So, and potentially, as a relatively small group, they have pulled their resources and have the means that they could make an antenna, put one together, and they have the resources where they could put one together, and they have the technical know-how where they could make one and the space for it. So I'm operating with, in reality here, I'm operating with the understanding that there's one person at the forefront, someone else who's, given the time and the opportunity and the resources, could also put one together in a space. You got to have the space for it. You got to have the place. That's really important. You got to have a location first. You sort of have to have a location first, first and foremost. I just humbly submit that. Okay. So assuming that, the second person down, and then again, the third person would be a small group of people who potentially would, as a community project, put one of these together or something. Okay. So I have a couple tiers of people in there, and myself as an interest in this, as the mentor here, I of course have a natural interest in this, where I would like to see this project move through, because it's like it kind of shines on me a little bit, like kind of like a parent, like, oh, I helped, I was there somewhere putting it together. Oh yeah, like, okay. So so because I do get some vicarious antenna building joy by helping people, I really have these kind of hardcore antenna building. I love doing these because I know it's not just me. There's a few of you that really are interested in the hardcore technical aspects of what it takes to build this. And with me working through this with you, we're going through this step by step, and it's becoming a little bit more easy to see where, the gap between where, I end and you begin, as it were, of where, that it's not necessarily a canyon, but maybe just a little bit of a gap. Like, all right, well, that's already kind of done. And so that's one of the reasons why I really like doing this, and kind of rambling on about, like, saying and glowing about all this, because this is what gets me out of bed in the morning, honest to God. Doing this, having a few people that I can talk to, geek out, being the antenna, geeks, a few of us here, we're talking about that on the other stream, about the antenna geeks, and that's what a few of us are here as well. And so this is a really great and groovy thing. I'm able to share this love, honestly, I'm not kidding you. I'm like this. It seems like such a minuscule thing to say, but this really does get me out of bed. I don't have a family. I've shared this. I don't have a family. I don't have a girlfriend, boyfriend, a husband, a wife. I don't have a partner. I don't have any kids. Everyone, all my friends are gone. They're all gone. And so it's not just that this is a family in some kind of abstract sense, but those of you who are here, like, this is part of what it is. I call you the Terrific 10 because you are the people who are here, like, all of the time when I do this. And you comment, a lot of comments on that, and a lot, that are here for like every single video in the live stream, and who have left, apparently, who've left other live streams to come to see mine. Thank you, Joanna. Yeah, because I couldn't do this without having the people, the interaction with you. Like, there isn't much else on this planet. There's a reason to come to the planet just to enjoy the planet, right? I mean, let's just put it that way. The reason for coming to Earth is to enjoy the planet. There isn't anything else other than that. Why incarnate and why live on this planet? Because it's beautiful. Why not? Grow a garden. Appreciate the plants. Look at the animals. Take a walk out in nature and see the. I'm blessed with being near the water. I'm blessed with being in the fall where the leaves change their colors and I can walk around. It's like nature's art canvas and the snow, and I've enjoyed the planet plenty. I've enjoyed the planet enough. There's more places that I could go and visit. I've seen enough. It's coming to the planet to enjoy the planet is reason to be here. However, as a human in this suit, you are all alone, either from God or from another human being. It's just you in the suit. And without having the people here, you guys, my other, the family is in some ways what you choose to make of it, right? Guys in jail, you have a family. If you're in segregation, and one of the other inmates gives you his milk just because he knows you're working out, that's your family. That's your brother right there. Boom. That's it. Someone who may not talk to you, but they're not going to let you die. It's at that kind of level. That's what's important. That's why I do this. That is why. It's not just because. It's how you do it. That's part of the mission. Part of the thing here is how you do it. It's not just doing it. It's why are we doing this? Why do we come here? To remember why it's important. To remember the first most important principle that's evolved. Yes, I'm reading the comments. Big earthquake at Easter Island, possible tsunami. Yeah, that's one of the things of one of the things that they talk about with earthquakes is that if it's on an island, that it can send out tsunami waves. I like that vertex. I feel like a vertex sometimes. And so that without you small dedicated band, like that's what I talk about when I say the terrific 10. It's not the people who are the smartest along or the furthest along, or even like, all right, they're not even the people who are making, like, you don't get in the terrific 10 because you're just because you want to make it in a Schumann antenna. All right, I mean, let's say that like like, yeah, you rank up high because of that, but it's it's just more than that. It's more than that. It's knowing that all the work it's gonna take, and you were discouraged, but then you said, I want to do this, and then you plowed through it. Like, you know what I'm saying? The dedication of that, and that's what this is. That's what part of the thing about the Schumann resonances that I talk about is they're not rising, they're gravity. They're not moving up. They're stuck. And I showed you, was it this one here? Somewhere this, yeah, here we go. You see that? Boom. There we go. You see that? Can you see that? There we go. All right. Boom. The frequency, look at that. You see the maximum frequency? 7.7, right? They talk about the harmonica, the frequency of 7.8. That's 7.71, And that's on the high end. That's the high tide. The low tide is 7.3. It bottomed out. And what am I mean? What am I talking about? Here, look, it fucking bottomed out. Right there. Am I in a brush? Yes, okay, so right here. The white one, this one here. Your bottom is right here. Right? And then this one here. Your bottom, it went even like below the bottom. The bottom is here. This line here is at the bottom. So that's like right at the bottom, right there. The red, which you can barely hardly ever see, that bottomed out there. That bottomed out there. And then the green, ever valiant, bottomed out here. Boom. Like a scow on the water. It just bottomed out. Hit bottom. Boom. That's the amplitude. That's the electric part, right? Yet, in the meantime, all these here, which I had talked about earlier in the premiere, so in case you didn't see it, I'll just give you a little quick preview of what I was talking about, right? So, the thank you, Joanna. Joanna, I appreciate you being here. Thank you. Um, and so the this is the amplitude is the height of it. Okay, bing, go move like this. Where's the camera? All right, move like this. Bing, ding, 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 like that. Okay, that's the amplitude. All right, the magnetics are like that. Can I like that? Okay, moving in fairly flat line, but it's a wave. You got to remember that, and it's a big wave. They're million kilometers size. Like down here, at the green is a million. That's a million kilometer. They're talking about. This is the kilometer wave. It's not quite a million, but this is the kilometer. You have to remember that. K. All right, so distance is the frequency is the wavelength. Remember, it's a radio frequency, and so they measure radio frequency from the bandwidth of the size of the meter, the size of the wavelength itself. That's the frequency of a radio wave. You got to remember that. It's the size. It's a kilometer band. It's the centimeter band. It's the millimeter band. All right. So, so you see here. So this is why you have all of this activity here in the lowest frequency, right? That's that's like 4.5 there. That's 7.8, give or take. And it's actually, as you saw, 7.7. And this is approximately 14.1 or 14.2, sorry. All right, so this one right here. And then there's like nothing else. There's hardly anything else going on except the deep, dark blue of outer space, which is the at-rest state of the environment. Daniel. Hi, Daniel. Hello, Daniel. Welcome. So you see there's not much going on with the amplitude, but you see it's all low frequency stuff. There's not much going on, okay? But there's heavy magnetics. And the top of this is 34, and top of this is like 9 or 10. It's not as big as it has been, but this is where all the activity is coming from. Sucks to be having to spend an eternity making up for a life spent of being selfish. Just think about that. A lot of people here on this planet haven't learned just some of the most basic stuff, and they've spent lifetime after lifetime trying to learn some basic lessons. And it can be discouraging to have to deal with a lot of that, and that's part of what I need to remember is that the Schumann resonances they're going to be changing. They're here now. They're part of. They're intensifying. The frequency isn't rising. Okay, they are intensifying. It's like if you took a note on a guitar and you hit the string louder, right? Like people need to understand what's going on here. The Schumann resonances are not going to be rising up, okay? They're set at the frequency of fear and anger, right? People need those in their life not channeled up, but expressed, moved out. The anger, those low frequency ballast vibrations moving. Boom. They don't need them held on to. They need them looked at and resolved. Like, boom. And that's part of what this is that beyond the happy horse shit and the New Age religion and the spirituality of the Schumannism and the thingification of the principles of the electromagnetics, that it's, well, you can change if the Schumann, we change the Schumann resonances by our conscious intention of rising up in the timeline and all of this hocus pocus mumbo jumbo, right? Hoodoo guru, I love that. And meanwhile, what's really happening is the fear, the anger, the hurt, the hate is not being addressed because of the happy horse shit that gets in the way, because people aren't realizing, aren't seeing, aren't being allowed to see, aren't being caused to see, are being distracted from what the real work that needs to happen. And there is an attraction. It's the morphic resonance is part of what it is. Sympathetic vibrations happen when you are immersed in an EMF environment. Okay. So if you are in a... Humans give off emotional energy. Humans resonate. We have the varying... Let me... Hold on a sec. I'm going to pause this. I want to find an image for you. Okay, I'm going to play some music. Okay, hopefully... Where am I? Alrighty, let me find the program. Alrighty, there I am. Alright. Okay, so... Hello, there we go. That's it. Oh, my favorite. That is absolutely my favorite of all time pictures. That's the one. Oh, yes. That's it. There you go. That's it. So, this right here, that's 10 hertz, that's 20, that's 30, that's 40, that's 50, that's 60, that's 70. Okay. So, fear, this guy here, operates up to 10 hertz. Hertz is spelled Hertz. And it's a guy's name. That was his name. It's a capital H. Uh, Rudolph, I think, is a German. Um, and a hertz is a cycle per second. Okay, that's traditionally what it is. Is it's a measurement of frequency, which is a cycle per second. Velocity is a straight line speed, which is a like kilometers per hour. Okay, it's not measured as a wave crest. Okay, so these are, I've talked about this before, these are the doors of perception, if you will. These are the doors of enlightenment. These are the doors of ascension, if you will. There's a lot of other names you could put on that, but right there, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh. AI. Not only is AI not needed. Okay, I'm reading the comment here. I'll just show you. Right here. Come on. Not only is AI not needed, but it is the. How do I say this? AI is intended to destroy the human race, essentially, to replace the network, our neural network. Okay? Humans have the ability to communicate telepathically. Okay? You can communicate on any one of these telephone lines here. Okay? You are able to send pictures through each one of these portals. Okay? When it's burning brightly and clearly, each one of those is a portal to your neighbor, loved one, husband, wife, kids, whatever. It's these are all part of the process, the birthright of humans. That each one of these is a portal that you can move energy through without actually physically being there. Humans, as we do it now, need a medium such as words to send this stuff through it. And with words, we overburden words with a lot of effluent and crap and shit and fear and guilt and shame and grief and lies and illusion and all this stuff that we put on our kids, we throw back at our parents, your neighbor, whoever, whatever, doesn't matter. Uh, these are all ways that we block out. Oh, hi, Angie. These are all ways that we block out source from moving through us, from the lowest all the way up to the highest vibration, right? And this is it. 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 There isn't anything else in the ascension. That if you don't get this, there is no ascension, right? Think whatever you want, believe whatever you want. I don't care. I already got my shit. I'm good. I'm fine. I don't care if you believe it. I don't get some special seat on the Heaven Express if you believe it, you know. Take what you want. Let it be. Let it be. You know, let your conscience be your guide of what you should do and how you should do it. However, if you feel that this life is a little flat and there's more to it and maybe some things are missing in your life, then what it is time to do is change your perspective and change the lens that you see everything through. So I'm reading the note that Daniel had put here. He's talking about the brain waves. And I'm going to say this, that the committee, the head is like a committee, all right, that the head itself has no, hold on, where am I? The head itself has no feelings, all right? The brain has no feelings. So it has to get in line, right? There's no nerve endings in the brain. The brain doesn't have any feelings, okay? The brain has to either invent feelings, like logical feelings, which is where this starts coming in. The logical, invisible feelings the brain has, invisible senses that a person has, we have. And the two brains, two hemispheres of the head, right? The one brain that operates in the invisible without any feelings. It has no inherent feelings to it. So the one hemisphere of the brain operating in the invisible realm, has to either manufacture feelings or has to talk to the other hemisphere that has that negotiates the feelings for the whole body, right? The head is allowed essentially to be in charge of all the invisible, right? Unknown, the invisible. Okay, imagination, right? The other hemisphere deals with all of the body feelings, all of the emotional states, the feelings, the emotions. Feelings are what you hold on to, emotions are what you give out. So your body itself is able to emote wisdom. Your body, the physical part of your body, is intelligent. Your body whole is half of your brain. It's not just a little portion of your head. Half of the entirety of your thinking, of your brain, is your body. Not just, oh, it's in the mind and it's all some mental trip and this is a, that's half of the brain talking, right? The matrix, head on a, head in a jar, on a lab somewhere. You don't even need to be present in your body. That's half of the brain. That half the brain, that's the way it deals with being in the body. The other half of your brain is actually physical itself. The, the brain itself is part of your physical body. It is one more organ of your body. So just like you can have various states of rest of your body, the head itself is an organ. You can have various states of your heart working, your kidneys can be overworked. Your brain is yet one more sensory organ of your body. And so it works at various ranges depending on what's being asked of it. And it's like a car on a highway that sometimes you have to get somewhere really fast. And so there's one way of your brain to operate on a very high frequency, but it's not in physical concepts. It's all in symbolic stuff. All right. And then there's a layer of your brain that operates on a very physical kind of construction layer where you process your emotions and your feelings. And that frequency is going to be much slower than if you were working on a mathematic problem. Just say, for example. Right. So one of they've given me this. My guides have given me this in reference to the Schumann resonances of why it's important to understand the two different brains. The two hemispheres, they act a lot of times independently, but they talk, and they don't always talk as well. Oop, sorry. They don't always talk as well. And so it's one of the things that we need to remember when we do this, that the brain doesn't always talk well with itself. And part of the reason we can't make it through the fear or the guilt is because of the negative self talk. Okay? And the two parts of the Schumann resonances is the immediate amplitude part. That is the invisible part of the head, like that's affected. Half of the brain, that's the half of the hemisphere, that's the invisible, is predominantly affected by that. And there's a lot of things that come with that, right? The electrics of it, of the amplitude, are in sympathetic vibration with your crystals, right? So the crystalline structure of your bones and in the DNA itself gets affected by the upright of the vertical in one certain way, certain set of ways. And then the other side of it, the magnetics, which affect more of the amplitude. It works on the dimensional. I've talked about this before. The dimensional scale, the time shift, the potential for a time shift is in the amplitude. It's quick. You don't see it that way. You can't physically see it because it moves beyond time itself. Okay. Uh, and so then the other portion of it, the other half of your brain, is affected by the physical, the magnetic quality, the magnetic portion, the quality portion. That is the magnetic flux. That's what comes out at you, like I said, the heart to heart to heart to heart. All right. And that is um, that is what we're talking about. That's now the two parts to the Schumann resonances, how it relates to the dual brain, the two brains, is because you have the two different functioning of the brain and the two portions of it's it's not just people look at the spikes. They're always big on the spikes and what the spikes mean. And it's not just that the amplitude is the most important thing because people are still hearing the ringing and all kinds of other stuff that, well, there's nothing going on. And then they're baffled. Like, how can I still be having, these ascension symptoms if there's nothing happening on the Schumann? And head in a jar, head in a jar. Like, it's not that there's nothing happening, it's that you've been conditioned to believe that, number one. And number two, you have to look at the magnetics because there's two portions to this. There's two portions to this. The amplitude affects the logical, the invisible part, the one that's basically that holds its place by promise of threat of violence a lot of times. Like the invisible, that's how it's, people with no power hold their power as a threat. They got to threaten you, right? Otherwise they don't have power over you, right? So that's one side of the brain, the quick, the invisible, the amplitude, and then the other side, the other brain, the other half of it, half the equation that you got to figure out to balance out is the physical, the emotional part of that. People's hormones are all over the place. The magnetics have a lot of times more to do with how people feel because the magnetics are what travel around the world. You got to remember that. The amplitude is local. The amplitude happens right there quickly, and then it fairly rapidly devolves into magnetics. And then what you're left with most of it is the magnetics and becoming more magnetic and more grounded and becoming more of a gravity held in place at that frequency than it is a frequency. It's moved beyond frequency. It's moved beyond wave into it being a fairly solid thing. It's a density. It's a gravity. Something with the density is a thing. Even if it's invisible to you, it's still held in place. They're still measuring it. You see how fat this line is. Wait, let me find it. You see right there how fat this line is right here. This is at 9 point. You can't even really see that. This one right here, this is at 7.8. You see how relatively fat that line is, right? That's not a rising frequency. That's becoming more intense. If you were to take a guitar, okay, you were to take a guitar, and that guitar the string is tuned to the right frequency. It's, tuned to where it should be, and you hit it, you'll get a certain, let's just say it's an acoustic guitar. You hit it, right? It makes a certain note. If you hit that guitar string harder, is it going to change the pitch? No, it's just louder. Okay? So, this right here, this thick band at 7.8 isn't raising your frequency. No, no, no. It's louder at 7.8. It's not going higher than... In fact, as I showed you here, right? What is this? You see this? Wait, where is it? This right here? That's not 7.8, right? 7.8 is that. That's 7.7, okay? And that's at the high tide, and the low tide is 7.3, okay? So the Schumann resonance is maybe going down. When people talk about the Schumann resonances, oh, they're going up, man. No, show them that. Show them this video. I'll do a screen capture with just that. Bam. We'll show them that. No, man, no, they're going down. No, they go down. They go down significantly. Look at that. The low point, the low tide was 7.3. Think what you want. Believe what you want. I don't care. I'm not here to change your belief. I don't deal with beliefs. I deal with fact. I deal with information, right? I deal with data. I'm not here for your belief. Strom! Nice to get different angles. I think you wrote angel, or whatever. It's funny they should make those two words so close together. Angle and angel. Yeah, different angles, yeah. Better on the block. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, all right, let me undo what I did. Damage done. Where am I? All right. I'll just have to make sure to not save it. All right, so we're talking about the Schumann resonances. We're talking about the amplitude spikes. Where are we here? Oh, yeah, put a bunch of lines there. Bottomed out. The chart bottomed out. I was reading this earlier. Where the Schumann resonances are coming from. They're not the Earth's heartbeat, as I've said before, and I will continue to say. I'm not here to change anyone's beliefs, but don't put that forward as fact either. All right, give me a little bit of respect here. I'm not going to try and change your belief. Don't try and put your belief off as fact, please. Okay. I've studied far too much about this at this point. And my guides tell me what I need to know, right? I mean, I have an ace in the fucking hole. Honest to God. I'm on a campfire with God. I mean, I have a picture of me, the avatar of Prime Source Creator, and then behind that is the actual nothingness of Creator, like the literal nothingness, and God. It's a puppet. The avatar of Prime Source Creator is a puppet. I realize that. We're laughing, but yeah, I'm there with the God. I ask God. I don't care if you believe whatever. I don't, take it up with God. I don't care. Believe it or not, I don't give a shit. It's just that simple. But if you want to know what's relevant, and if you feel that this information is important, then we're here. We're asking God, what is relevant about this? What is here that we need to know about that? And this is what it is all about. We're not going to some archangel or some alfalfa, saint or some whatever. I don't even know who all they are. In the last 2 years or 3 years, I've heard of more oddball saints and channeled things. Who are these people? Why Portia? All right, so it's a known thing. All right, whatever. But, Saint Frangelico? Who are these freaking people? You know? Why don't you just ask God? Right? Why do you got to channel some unknown unthing? Or it's an archangel. How do you know it's an archangel? Show yourself. Right? Hey, it's simple, right? Show yourself. Give me some sign. Let me see, right? Show me what you got, right? There's a lot of invisible gods running around. And it's part of it is the Schumann Resonance stuff that people don't know what it is. They're just blah, 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 what someone else told them, and they don't know enough to go and look, or that the information is there. It's fine, okay. You don't know. That's fine. I have information here that I have gotten for you that I'm happy to divulge to you that you can take as you see fit. I'm not going to argue any of this stuff with anyone. Either you believe it or you don't. You get it or you don't. That's one of the ways that makes my chat and my channel great. People don't come here to argue because it's like, you're not arguing over anything. I'm not arguing with you. That's not what this is about, you know? If you've got more superior fact, if you know more about you got some other data, bring it. Otherwise, just sit down, take the cotton out of your ears, stick it in your mouth, and listen. This is what Prime Source has given me to give to you guys, and it's one of the things that is important to point out. There's low activity here, so they're showing you these numbers here, crazy low numbers, 2, 3, amplitude 2, amplitude 3, amplitude 4, 2, right? The low, very low day. But you see the magnetics is fairly, active. All right. Thank you, Joanna. Yeah, I go into a lot of, but I try and make them so that you can go back and watch them again and again, and hopefully they're not boring. Hopefully they're not tiring. I'm trying to work with making them entertaining. And I want to get them so that I'm concise and that you really do get something from the videos. There's a lot to this, and people need to. If it matters, then you need to kind of look at it from the technical perspective, right? I mean, people can do fine in their ascension without ever knowing the Schumann resonances. Honest to God, just clean house. It's that simple. You don't need to know anything more than that. Clean house, right? Clean your lowest. Forgive people. Let the other person go first, right? It's really that simple. That you can. If you're on the ascension pathway, you can do this. You can ascend without knowing any of this. Honest to God, right? I mean, it's fine enough. Love him, yeah. There you go. It's just that Jesus ascended without knowing the Schumann resonance stuff. You believe. But he was also able to calm the sea, and he made love to the clouds and the sky with his heart. He talked to the sky elementals as if they were conscious. Okay? Like, that's the difference between Jesus and you. I mean, there's more to it than that, but I mean, if you did that, you would get the same results as him too. So yeah, he's only different because he practiced that. And any of the saints and any people who have anything great and wonderful in their life, they don't need to know a lot of the environmental details. They just need to follow their heart and just act with intuition. So part of one of the exercises to this is act with your intuition, act out of intuition. Don't worry about what the data says or doesn't say. Right? That follow your heart. Half of your body, like your mind. Half of your mind runs the body. The body itself knows. Your body is smarter than you in a lot of cases. Your body is ancient. The wisdom of the body. I mean, it's just something, it's just half of your experience here happens in the damn human suit, right? And half of whatever the Schumann resonances are physically happening on your person. And that's a very important thing to understand in this, that it's not just some mental state of mind over matter and you just think and just think. Your heart has to run the show. It's the oldest, most ancient part of you. And the head, especially the logical part of your head that thinks it knows everything, is the last to the party. So the allegedly the part of you that's smartest is the last one there to the party and hasn't been paying attention to the conversation in any of the rest of the room. It just kind of barges in and says, "Oh, hey, check me out! Look at how great I am! You know, I'm look at me, everyone! Hey!" And then the intellectual, smart part of your brain has interrupted all the conversation of the body and the ancientness of the communication between interperson, the chakras, the holes, the portals, as I said. Showed you the picture. Those are the portals, the means of communication from one body to another. This is the lateral, the magnetic portion of the program of my heart to yours, the feeling, the physicality of it, the 93% probability of the wave function. That if you expect to see a wave, you're going to see a wave. It's that simple. Consciousness is not just a principle that's floating around out there, that's just an amorphic thing. It is. But then there is also the part of consciousness that gets nailed down through your focus and through your attention, and you're devoting your physical energy to all of your extremities, right? Like that's equally a part of it, that you have command of all your extremities and coordinated them in such a way you have created something. That's an amazing, something amazing, right? Like, and I do these things and it's like every day, and I kind of have it down to a sort of a formula, but it's a challenge every day. And so even they don't take me as long now, but it's like part of this is a mastery of it. That there's a lot to be said for form recognition, pattern recognition. There's a lot to be said for humans in pattern recognition, in getting to understand how shapes and forms work. Like here, the patterns. People talk about the big spikes. And then what happens when there's no spikes? Right? This is something as well that happens, that like in the Schumannism, the religious part of this, of that I've been talking about, where there's this kind of belief that there's if there's no spikes, there's nothing happening. Okay, that the spikes are the most important thing, the amplitude spikes, and then when they see something that goes down to that far, okay, we'll just say that far, that they see it's a big spike. Okay, this is more of the religious, the belief part of this, that the people see a spike that down there, and they see that, oh wow, it's a big spike, and yet don't realize that the number there is 44, right? So this point right here, right, that's 44 decibels. All right, that's what that is. It's decibels. Ooh, this right there, that big mess right there that I'm just making, that point right there, that's 44 decibels. So when you see a lot of times there's this common misconception that when someone sees a big spike, it's big up to the end there, here, that it's a big in number, okay? And not realizing it's scaled, that the bigness is scaled to the size, it's all relative. Each day, it depends on wherever the spike was. This number is not the 40 hertz, but it becomes a decibel number. Okay, so there's a commonly held myth, if you will, misconception on what the meaning of the amplitude spikes are a lot of times, and uh, people don't realize the limit to the distance of the amplitude spike. Okay. There are things in the local environment that will cause spikes, but mostly, there's like a 1 kilometer uh, radius outside of which the signal starts getting a little funny or questionable. Okay. So, because again, we're talking about lightning, it's lightning that's predominantly the cause of the Schumann resonances. So, um, so the amplitude spikes are echoes. Again, they're echoes of lightning, unless it's something that's happening locally. And depending on what's happening with uh, what's happening with you know around the world. Let me show you something too. All right, I kind of have I mentioned this before, but I'm gonna kind of go in. This is the next again. This is the next lesson. I already did the I already videotaped the abstract, and now I get to go back and explain it more in depth because this abstract was it was a bear. But I just want to show you this right here. They're showing you this is the distribution of lightning. Okay, let me get myself out of my way. All right, so that they're basically showing you the distribution of lightning based on the worldwide. And so you could see this is America, North, South America. This is Africa, Europe, Asia, uh, here. And you can see it's a little better there. Russia, all of that. That's the world right there. So they're showing you this kind of Lorentzian graph, I guess it's the best way to put it, uh, where they're showing you the distribution of how far away the lightning is from the uh, the Schumann resonance detector. Okay, so each day along here, you see somewhere this black line. This is 205 days, so you see somewhere in here the distance from in miles, how far away the Schumann resonance signal is being generated. Okay. Okay. So that is whoop, there we go. How what Angie? Um where was that? Okay. So that we went through the abstract already, and I just read through the introduction of this, um, and I think that all right. So this is their induction coil. All right. They made a box. Looks like they made a box for this purpose, and it's well done. So they're probably going to leave this outside in the box, such as it is. So they have cushioning on it. Okay. They kind of have this bolted in there. They're going to put the top on that. Oh, I'll show you. So you see on the outside of the box, they have the connectors. Can you see that? All right. So on the outside of the box, you see the connectors. All right. So I mean, looks like it's a fairly well built, you know, container for it. It's a box. It looks like it'll seal out the majority of the weather, which you want it to, and it looks like they wound that by hand. I might add. You see a little bit of a kind of wavy line there. Uh, and then you see the other electronics in there, right? The data logger is right there. That's the signal conditioning. That's your filter. And see on the outside of it, they have a little Schumann resonance uh, that's a little diagram of the Schumann resonance, and they have a little meter there. Like that looks like a fun kind of thing, you know. So I'm not sure if they had done that post edit or whatever. Who knows? Um, and then you have this gem here. This is your data logging card. All right. You see, anyone who's done computers before, it looks like a fairly, you know, you would recognize a motherboard, the central processor here. You have the north bridge. Looks like that would be the north bridge. That'd be like the south bridge. And it's not quite a north bridge, but this is your the secondary channel. It's like everything's going through the secondary channel. So the analog input, this would be your um, your antennas. Essentially, that's what uh, maybe not necessarily be your antenna. I would have to say your analog input would be from the other after the signal conditioning. It tells you in the article what they're doing. Okay, so I'm sort of guessing a little bit, but the um, my that's what I'm fairly certain of is that it goes from the signal conditioning to the data logger, just as a the the memory. So right here it's got the little place to store the data. Okay. So this is a little tiny little computer that's dedicated just to storing the data. Okay. So the analog input, like I said, would likely be coming from the other, you know, this guy here, the signal conditioning. Uh, because you would not want to log in the bad data. You want to log in the good data and the data that's been filtered and analyzed and all of that stuff. So this would be uh, this portion of it right here. The data logger would be equivalent to a computer server for Tomsk. So Tomsk has, and these other, a lot of the other ones too. The Russians, the Tomskers, the Russians, the Italians, Kumiania, they have, you know, a server that they hold their information on, and so they have uh, um, a data backup storage. Okay, I think that's the best way to kind of call that. So this is sort of their data backup, data storage on a memory stick. Okay, it's like a little mini server for their data backup. Okay, so that's what these boxes are doing, and they put them in a metal box to protect them, and also, oh, good night, Joanna. Thank you for being here. I appreciate all the comments and the love and the support, and you're coming out and hanging out with me, with us. You're wonderful. Thank you. Good night. Oh, you know, and I have to say something. I just got a notification that said that I can monetize my channel if I want to. I have met the required 4,000 public hours of watching of my videos, my channels. So this is exciting. I got great news today. Yeah, I'm not going to monetize, but it's nice to be asked. I'm not monetizing at this point. Anyway, so thank you, Joanna. Have a great rest of your night. It was wonderful for you to hang out. All right, so. All right, so I've read I already went through I already went through the abstract. All right, so I am probably going to do yeah, agreed. Yeah, sweet dreams, Jonah. So I'm probably going to do another video on the more of this. I'm I'm probably going to do, before I go back into this article, I am likely to do a bunch. I will show you. Let me just show you really quick here. All right. So this is the one I'm going to show you what I have here. Actually, hold on. Let me adjust this. I'm going to do a browser dump kind of session here, as I call it a browser dump. I'm going to show you what I have in my right now. All right. This is what I'm reading here. All right. So this is obviously the one we're working on right now. This is the one of Votis and Tatsis. All right. So this one here by Baldy. This is the next one up. This one I was very proud. I did the. I just finished the abstract for this today, or yesterday. Sorry, yesterday, and I still have to do another video that explains the abstract. Look at this, right? This is from a conference. Okay, so the abstract is one page. So I read it, and I'm like, I read it all the way through, and I'm like, oh fuck, I really got to explain this more. So that's going to get, so the abstract, just reading through this was an hour, and then explaining what the cover art was, and then, I read a lot. Thank you, Angie. He had, I have to tell you this, before, people don't realize this, but before he would give the shout out to me, he had Cindy and I forget the two Energy Arts, right? That was his favorite place, and I've heard them like their Ascension kind of stuff. They have a good message overall, right? Their technical knowledge on the Schumann, it's not. It was, they mean well. They're good people. They're good people. They really do. And all the other stuff they do, they're really great. But, like, that was the people. So he had heard a lot and seen a lot of the people at the Schumann, but no one knew what it was. They still don't know what it is. And so I had just dedicated my time to read. I already got a background on or a background from dealing with antennas and radio and audio video, and I already know a lot of the basics going into this. So for me, it's like, oh, the radio, glorified radio waves. Oh, yeah, that sounds like fun. Broadcast radio. Oh, yeah, okay. So I was totally in early on. So I just took a shine to this, and so he gives me the credit after having heard of a bunch of people what they say. They're just like, "Oh hell no, no, you have no idea what you're talking about." You say respectfully to people, and you don't need. It's one of those things. Like, all right, believe what you want to believe. You can call it a fact. I don't give a shit. Whatever. So everyone gets respect because everyone's got their beliefs. But he really did. He's been through a few, and he knows enough to know when someone really knows what they're talking about, know the expert. And so, again, I don't hide the fact that a lot of the wisdom I got is not just from reading, right? I ask, open my channel, right? That's the other half of this, is I ask my channels to be opened up to what I need to know. Not just for me, but also for the people that I'm here to help. So part of what makes me wise, it's not just smart. I read a lot, right? I read a lot, but I don't always know what I'm reading, honest to God, right? I mean, I really don't. In cases, I don't know. So I have to look up, and I look up, and I look up, and I read, and 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 I read, and then I read, and I read more, and then I read more. And so people that read a lot, they know a lot of stuff. And they'll, you stop and you ask, and they'll talk to you about stuff. Like, okay, so it's no fun keeping the information away from you. Part of the fun for me is hunting it down, reading through it, and then, giving it to you guys to understand in simple terms. It's part of the fun of doing this. It's not just that I got the information. I shared, one of the earliest live streams I shared was talking about the library. And my mother, when I could start walking, my mother would go to the library. We didn't have money to fix anything, so like I think at 8 was the first time that I forget what it was, the washing machine or something broke, and so my mother needed help. I think 10. I think 10 was the first time I helped with the washing machine, but definitely 10 was the first time that I had to help with the lawnmower. The smoking lawnmower. Like You know, she said, I don't have money to buy a new lawnmower, so either I'll take you to the library, you can find a book to fix it yourself, or you can be out there with a push mower or the sickle or scissors, I don't care what, but you got to mow the lawn. So I was forced to learn how to fix stuff so that I didn't have to do it by hand with a hand sickle. And I mean, my grandmother had one of those. The, like seriously, it looks like like a handle, the big ass like razor edge to it. With it, like man, you hurt people with this thing, but no, that's how they used to do it. So some of the earliest researching skills I ever had were learning how stuff was put together, and how to fix things because I had to. My father was never around. He didn't give my mother any money. She was on welfare. She did the best she could, and uh, so what you're left with is the man of the house has to figure out how to fix stuff. And fortunately, I had a couple neighbors who took me under their wing and showed me how to fix some stuff. Mr. Cochran, one of my neighbors, older man, great man. He had tools that I borrowed, and he helped me learn, taught me skills and how to fix stuff. Right. So, I, for me, getting back into the here and now, um, finding the information is not that big of a deal. I learned the value of an interlibrary loan at a young age. you know, I mean, that's one of the things I learned from, the public library in Waterford, which is actually very good, I have to say. I learned how to request an interlibrary loan, right? And you would be surprised at the lengths, the depths that the librarians will go to find your book, your article, your magazine if you have requested it. They're like the freaking the mailmen. Like they will. I'm surprised at where they've pulled information from. And in one case, they sent me. They had the book in stock, but they couldn't bend it to scan it. So they took pictures of it and sent me pictures of the book that I was looking for. I mean, come on. These are heroes. The librarians. I don't know how much they should all be funded doubly what they're getting funded. Uh, Honest to goodness. So that's part of what my expertise in this is I know how to research, and I'm happy to look into it. I'm happy to research. I'm happy to show what I get and show what I have gotten um, to you guys, because chances are you would not be able to find this with as much ease as I did. I think you probably could, but you don't have the time to spend that I do. Let's face it. My full time job is like 16 hours a week. Okay, right? Eight. 8 and 4, 12, really. A minimum. I just need to put in a minimum of 12 hours a week. Uh, 12 to 16. That's my full time obligation for this job that puts a roof over my head is 16 hours a week. Most weeks I'm at 12. Some weeks I don't even get 12. I don't even take a paycheck because I haven't even made 6 hours. Like, all right, I'll put on next week. Uh, but I still have the roof over my head. So, with the studio that allows me, so I have the time and the ability that I can do all this research and look at it. And then, so that's one of the reasons why it's granted to me to be able to do this, is to put it out there to you. And in case you didn't know, I am the technical expert on the Schumann resonances. I mean, I really am. There's people that are more of the engineering and the science and all of that, and these guys here, Earl Williams, wonderful guy. Try and get a hold of him. I'm just saying. Robert Baldy, his shit's right here, right? Try and get a hold of him. Be my guest, right? I mean, there's people that know more, obviously. I mean, there's people that work with this guy's been doing this 20 years. That ain't me. You know, I'm honest. I haven't been doing this 20 years. He has. However, try and get a hold of him. Like, all right, yeah, I mean, out of all the people that are willing to talk to you and that can give you a good answer, you know, it's me. I'm the guy. Um, so, that's part of what I'm doing this. I'm hoping, maybe some of the experts will, if, how do I say this? If all that the you see the science that goes into this, the technical aspect that goes into this, all of the work that goes into this, okay, on just the Schumann resonances that's available here, if you research it and you look, okay, it's really important to understand that it is there if you look for it. But you got to look for it. You got to be willing to to go to the library and to use their computers, see what's in their database, talk to the librarians. Um, this is a full-time process that a lot of people don't have, even though there's a lot of stuff that's stalled due to all the COVID pandemic and all of that. People aren't moving as much. It's just there's a trade-off. So not only do a lot of people not have the interest and the motivation, you've got more other stuff going on. You don't have the root knowledge of where to go and how to look. And, I happen to put in a subscription to academia.edu. There's a lot of that stuff that comes from there that's probably not going to apply to you. You're not going to want to read. It may wind up being, you'll get a lot of, research on stuff that metamorph the electric rocks and all kinds of great stuff that maybe you may not be able to put together in the same way that I can, right? So that's part of this as well, that I am here to help find the information, but also to help looking at it and to give you a kind of heads up of some of this stuff that's really technical, and maybe we can't get a lot out of it, but I know in a number of cases we have looked at really technical hardcore stuff, and I'm able to extract some basic level things for people. And even in doing that, it sort of also opens up some other passageways that people might not have been aware of before. And it kind of opens up other things as well. You know, so this is one of the reasons why I like doing these kind of obscure journals, these scholarly journals, is for the purpose that it's, number one, it's hardcore technical stuff. But this one in particular, it's in Rhode Island, right here. I've ridden through West Greenwich. They towed my car when I was here, first moved to Rhode Island, and it wound up in the West Greenwich lot. Or maybe it was East Greenwich. I think it was West Greenwich. Anyway, yeah, which is in the middle of nowhere, Coventry, cow country. I like. Oh, that's a funny comment. I'm going to put that up there, Daniel. Hold on. I I like what you said. I like Billy Allsbrook's motivation, and then you said I like people yelling at me. I guess I I've had bosses that are like that. That's how they motivate, through yelling at you. I need to be yelled at sometimes. I mean, it's that way, I need someone who cares enough about me to want to yell at me sometimes. It's like that. Oscilloscope is OSC. I just need to say that. Otherwise, it's correct. OSCILLO. Yeah, I believe the rest of it's correct. Yeah, it kind of is. People need motivation, like, all right, I mean, if the people who are very, very loud and, boisterous and, they yell, they have a certain energy that they move that energy along. It's very, they can be motivational people. right? Like sometimes you need that, and it says, I think it was kind of funny the way you put that because it's like, oh, I can picture that. Like, I mean, there's different levels to what you had said there, but I think a lot of people can recognize, just resonate on that. Sometimes I need someone yelling at me, I mean, I don't know for certain, but I think that's why why a lot of people get married. They just need that someone yelling at them. I mean, I could be mistaken. I don't know. I'm not married, but from what I've gathered, that's kind of what the image I've drawn. All right, so I'm giving you a preview of what else I have. All right, so this one's hardcore technical. Oh yeah. This one. We got to talk about. I'm going to be after the Rhode Island one. I'm moving back to information about the 2009 L'Aquila earthquake because they gave reference in this one. Is it this one? No, the other one. Predicting. All right, so this one. All right, so yeah, this one here. All right, so in this one, I just did like I think it was the last video. I did a series on the prediction. We were talking about the spikes at. It's again, Daniel. Again, yes. Like I said, it's just I'm not, It's just what I understand. I could be wrong. I don't know, but I just seem to get that impression that some people need someone to hit them over the head and bash them around, and that's why you get married. Otherwise, you were happier without that, and yet you now have that, and it's a thing. Okay, anyway, so we're going to be talking about this. The electric signal. Here's a good abstract. Look at this one. Yum, yum. Not a whole lot of numbers, but look at that. Word salad. Oh, look at that. Big, thick, dense cake of information. So L'Aquila is huge. This earthquake was monster in 2009, L'Aquila. So it wound up something like 70,000 people were homeless as a result of this. So this was a benchmark earthquake, and this is one of those ones that they have signatures, electric signatures, before the actual quake. So this is one of the things that, and this one here, the prediction of the prediction capabilities of the VLF, LF. I did that, like I said, I did that last. I'll get a picture sometime. All right. And so this is more on L'Aquila in 2019. That goes with the predicting the LF, ELF, LF article. So those are all. Bradley, hello, Bradley. Oh my God, you came right at the end of all the exciting everything. Well, I have to tell you, Bradley, all of everything, pretty much the majority of everything in this up to this point has been for you and Jackie, primarily for the two of you, and for anyone else who is building or planning to build a Schumann Resonance antenna. Okay, you may or may not currently be planning to build one, but if you are, then this was for you. So it was more important information about the the data acquisition signal. And I'm going to be going more into it. So I'm going to do another article, another video that talks more about this. I'm going to go into more of it, just so you know. So right now I'm just going through my okay. So right now I'm just kind of going through my Adobe Reader, what everything I have kind of on the schedule for the schedule. This is kind of what I have on the schedule for the next videos coming up. I'm pretty much going to be doing some videos, a series of videos that have the abstracts. Okay, so the bunch of these are the research paper. I'm going to present the abstract and go into detail about the abstract. And then depending on the reaction to that, and again, I will be going, a lot of these I'll be having them in a live stream. So I'll probably have the premiere and then I'll have a live stream after it so I can talk about them as well. Because I want to get feedback from you guys to make sure that you're understanding and so that we are kind of on the same page, if you will. Oh, Dillard Stedman. Yeah, well, it has been in the past. Matt Guy. Hello, Matt. Hello, Dylan. All right. So this, while we're on this one is another one that's based on Earl Williams. He gave the talk of the Ted Madden talk on one of the videos I did. So he's from MIT, which is local. Okay. So this is one of those ones that have local interest, and you see the article is radio science. Okay. So if you want to, like, it becomes kind of obvious that if you want to know the real hardcore Schumann resonance stuff, you've got to go to like the radio science or radio telegram journal or the, you know, like this type of clearinghouse, atmospheric radio waves, like atmospheric journal, like these kind of things. So this is one of those ones that is, it's fairly technical, but there's some, you know, oh, it's a lot of reading. It's a lot of reading without pictures, 11 pages, you know. Well, it's interesting, though, because what they had done in this particular one, what they had done is they had seen sprites in, he talks about this, they had seen sprites in, all right, actually, while I have this here, I'll read this to you really quick. All right, because this will be of interest to a few of you who are in Australia. So it says, electromagnetic transients have been recorded at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology field station in West Greenwich, Rhode Island, coincident with sprite producing lightning flashes in northern Australia at a distance of 16.6 mm. I'm not sure what the mm designation is. Single station Schumann resonance methods have been used to locate the parent lightning flashes and to evaluate their vertical charge moments. The charge moment thresholds for sprite production are consistent with similar measurements with identical methods made at considerably closer range, which is approximately 2 mm. The use of a uniform model for the Earth ionosphere waveguide can produce systemic errors in the source-receiver distance of the order of 1 mm. Further analysis of the observations has shown an important role for the day-night asymmetry of the waveguide in causing the systemic error by leading appreciable asymmetry to the short and long paths of propagation round the world. Okay. So that was sprite lightning heard round the world by Schumann resonance methods. So what they're basically saying is that they were on like telephone or some shit, and they were able to communicate fairly instantly with each other. And what would happen is that there would be, and this is from 2005, 2004, all right. Original information, I think, is like 2004 or 2005. So they had, so they, one of the scientists was in Australia. They would witness sprites, and I hope everyone has a general idea what sprites are. And they come in different colors, right? So they're red, and they're different things depending on where they're at. And sprites would flash off in Australia, and they would measure them in Rhode Island. All right? So that's something to consider, that even there's something that happened around the world, okay, and it measures it on the Schumann resonance in Rhode Island, all right, which is halfway around the world. That's the difference between where you are, Bradley, and where I am, essentially. So that's something to be considered. So this is one of those ones I'm going to go in. It's on the agenda somewhat soon. I'm going to go into it. Um, this was one of those ones. Hellman, this guy Hellman he's a fairly well known name in this field. So um, we need to talk about Earth electricity, this type of stuff here, the telluric currents in the lithosphere. Uh, there's sprites and then there's elves. So um, what they're talking about is there's a range that these go in the atmosphere. And generally, they're moving upward into the ionosphere, generally speaking. Um, and so that's one of the questions is what's local and what is on the worldwide scene. Okay. So when people see spikes in the amplitude, they see spikes like that. Okay. You'll get a spike, shows up once as a spike, goes around the world, and then you start seeing it as magnetics. All right? So you'll get a spike, you'll get a boom, it registers, and then after that, you will start seeing magnetic waves until it kind of eventually kind of peters out. Um, so one of the things I always talk about, frequently talk about, is know the difference between local and what happens on the worldwide. And I'm honest to goodness, I am also kind of still figuring out and learning and understanding what is able to be shown worldwide, meaning something happened in Australia and it picks it up in Rhode Island, for example. All right. So, so it's part of one of the things of doing this that I continually bring up to people is we continually have this discussion of what's local and what's local and what's happening around the world, and knowing the difference between the two, and really just getting into what makes the signal local as opposed to elsewise. So so even though I've given a lot of answers in this, it's like I'm still learning because there's still more studies, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. Uh, is because we need to look at a lot of all the variables that are out there out of memory. Okay. All right. What else do I got? Am I still on memory? All right. Oh, here's another one. Someone sent me this link. Schumann resonance and human psychobiology. So this one looked like it had a lot of interesting promise, but it's like, whoa, there's a lot here too. There's a lot of dense kind of. They talk about HARP and all right. So I thought that would be. All right. So what else? Bioelectrics. Oh, okay. Well, this one was interesting. Lochilia, the central earthquake, the predecessors of the April 6, 2009 quake. All right. All right. So this was more on Lochilia. It's important to know. Oh yeah. Oh, this one. Uh, Pre-earthquake lights. All right. My machines are having a mutiny here. I'm about ready to. Okay, so I think this is about it. Um, that's one of these. I might move this one up where we talk about the earthquake lights. I don't know, but I think that's one of the interesting topics. All right, so I'm reading this comment by the Dragons, and I'm wondering how on earth you found your way here. Do you have the Dragons? Do you have a link, some information somewhere? Yes, so I'm wondering how you found your way over here to come and talk about this. All right. At this point, it is now 3 hours into this. I'm going to be ending this. I have had enough for my day, and so thank you all for being here. I'm going to be playing some music, and I think I will talk to you all in chat, and thank you all for being here. So. Is this it? All right, so everyone have a great rest of your night, and I will talk to you soon. I will probably be doing another live stream soon, and thank you. Thank you, Daniel. I love you too.